Hey guys, today we're going to be doing 9.2 exponential functions in context. So before we get really into word problems, we need to know all of our pieces of the exponential formula. So today we're only going to be using a times b to the x power. We will be talking about c a little bit more next class, but for context, for real life, we typically don't work with the asymptote as much. So we're going to talk about all the different pieces of our formula. A is the first one, and it is the initial value. So if we're saying that Mary deposited $4,000 in her savings account, then A is going to be 4,000. What I put in the A spot is going to be 4,000. Okay. B is the ratio. This is how much something is changing. So it can be multiplying or it can be dividing, and we can be given it in several different ways. First way is by a factor. If it gives it to us as a factor, then whatever number they gave us is the number it is, 1.3. If it's a multiple, then we have to think for a half a second. We have to go, well, if a population triples is 3. So I'm multiplying by 3 each time, so that means B equals 3. And the last way that, the last way that we can see it is as a percent. So if we're talking about a percent of growth, we need to convert the percent to a decimal. Your calculator can do that for you. Okay. And then if we're talking about growth, we need to add 1 to the growth, right? If we're growing, we need to make it bigger. Okay. We add 1 to account for the original amount plus the percentage of growth. So you're welcome to try that out try out why that works and stuff on your own. But for the purpose of this video and for time, I'm not going to go into it too much here. Okay? If we have that a population grows by 5%, well, it's growing, so it's 1 plus. And instead of 5%, I need to change that to a decimal, so I go 0.05. There's a couple ways we can change to a decimal. Your calculator can do it for you. Or if you have a 5, then you can say, well, I would move the decimal over 2 places. Okay? That's how we change from a percent to a decimal. And then a decimal to a percent, we would move the decimal place back 2 spaces. Okay? So that's how we convert back and forth. And that's for growth. If we have a decay factor, or we're going down, we also need to convert the percent to a decimal again. But instead of adding 1, we're going to subtract 1 to account for the original amount. So think if I'm losing something, if I'm going smaller, then I'm going to subtract 1. If I'm getting bigger, I'm going to add 1. So if I'm doing a population dropping by 5%, that's going to be 1 minus 0.05, which is the same as 0.95. A population declines by 1.2%. That is the same as 1 minus 0.012, or 0.988. Okay? And the last thing that we can, the last variable that we'll talk about today is time. It can either be a t or it can be an x. I think most of the time on your homework it's an x. So let's get used to that. Okay, if it represents time, so whatever part of time you have, that's what it is. So if it's 5 days, then x is 5. C is the asymptote. Asymptote is an invisible line that the graph approaches but never crosses. That is one of your vocabulary words. Okay, let's flip our page. Let's see how we do this in practice. Ella has a collection of vintage action figures that is worth $430. Okay, pause. Our formula that we are going off of is A times B to the X, like that. A, like we said before, is the initial value. B is the ratio, or what I'm growing by, and we have to do the 1 plus 1 minus. And X is time. So I've got 3 numbers in here. I've got to figure out which 3 are which. So we have it's worth $430. That's my A, because it's currently worth $430. That's my initial. If the collection appreciates is a bank word. It appreciates means it's growing. Okay, so we're going to do 1 plus a rate of 4% per year, which equation represents the value of the collection after 7 years. So A was my 430. B is going to be 1 plus 4%, which is the same as 0.04. And X is time, that's 7. So I need 430 times 1.04 to the 7th power. And I see the second one looks like that. We're going to go through these now just a little bit faster. A new car is purchased for $27,500. There's your A. The value of the car depreciates. So appreciates is +1. Depreciates is -1. At a rate of 9% per year. So that's my B. And I'm going to convert that to a decimal. That's 0.09. Which equation represents the value of the car after 2 years? Well, 2 is going to be my exponent because it's X. 27,500 is my A. And I need 1 minus 0.09. So I see 1 plus. I see 1 minus 0.9, not 0.09. I see 1.09, that's plus again. If I plug this in my calculator, 1 minus 0.09, I would get 0.91. So first one is my answer. Okay? A group consisting of 14 aggressive zombies triples in size every hour. Which equation matches the number of zombies after 7 hours? Well, 14 is my A, because that's where I'm starting, and it's tripling every hour. So tripling means 3, and that's going to be my B, and then 7 is my X. Take a second, figure out which one it is. Good job. It is going to be the 4th option. Here's our last one. Same vibe. I mean, it's a different section of your homework, but I think the questions honestly take from the same bank. So 670 is my current mass, my initial mass, and it's decaying, so that's 1 minus 21.8% per minute. So I'm going to move the decimal place over to 0.218, and then I'm going to put it to the 15th power. This is a calculator problem. Please don't try to do this in your head. When you plug this into your calculator, you'll get 16.7562 blah 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 blah. Okay? It's asking us to round to the nearest 10th. So 10th is the 7. I'm going to look at my friend, the 5. My final answer will be 16.8. That's what I would hit submit for. Okay? Try the homework out and email me if you have any questions. Thank you so much.